Welcome to Your Illini Nation pregame show. I'm Brice Bement. Alongside me, Illini Inquirer's Derek Piper. Thanks so much for being here. Obviously, we just took off this morning. We both arrived earlier. Illinois obviously getting a little bit more rest as they probably came in yesterday. But so we're here. We made it. We made the trip. So you got a little bit of a nap, though. You got to check in early.
I got a little bit of a nap. I needed to calm the stresses because I thought I was going to miss my flight this morning. Full disclosure, 7 a.m. out of Chicago. Broke some speed limits, but hopefully I don't got any tickets in the mail. But I'm here, and let's cover this game.
And obviously Illinois looking for revenge. They lost to Penn State by 15 points on their home court earlier in December, starting them with an 0-3 start to conference. But obviously, Derek, talk to me a little bit about this matchup right now and just that overall, anger, I guess, probably for Illinois to want to get a win here and kind of show them what it feels like.
Yeah, it's a revenge spot for Illinois for sure. It's a big week, really on both fronts, because you have Penn State, who beat you there at home by 15, and Indiana this weekend coming up, who obviously dominated you in Champaign as well. So 2 road games, opportunities for quad 1 wins. But yeah, to get a little revenge, even the score a little bit there, and Illinois trying to trend in the right direction down the stretch of this season. They've won 8 of the last 10, so they're doing a really good job of that. Got a good win there at home against Rutgers over the weekend. So Penn State, on the flip side, really has a lot of urgency to get back on the right track. This was a team that was projected as a tournament team about 3 weeks ago. They've lost all 4 games in February right now. They need to get on a little bit of a hot streak to end this season, and this would be a big win for them over Illinois to sweep them. We break it down the matchup, but yeah, Penn State really took it to Illinois in December, although it's a different Illinois team. They're doing some things different defensively and offensively, so I think that it's a better matchup for them now, but Penn State can really bomb it from 3 and have to make sure that they're not making 12 to 15 tonight from beyond the arc.
Yeah, they were definitely dominating beyond the arc, and especially Jalen Pickett and Andrew Funk, both getting about 20 points last time. I think there were 4 guys above 15 points for Penn State, just absolutely dominating from the 3. What does Illinois need to do to kind of shut them down and just kind of limit those shots?
I think that it starts with Pickett, because last game he was able to get some mismatches inside, and Penn State was able to really manipulate Illinois' switch everything defense, so they started Shannon on him or Matthew Meyer, but by switching they could get Jaden Epps on him, Sky Clark. They want smaller guards on Jalen Pickett because he's kind of a unique point guard in that he likes to play in the post. He likes to play bully ball down there against smaller guards, but I think now with the way Illinois is playing defense, they can stick Shannon, Ty Rodgers, who's got size and strength on him, and will make it harder for him there to score inside, and with Illinois not needing to kind of double team or show help and get caught in bad matchups, then you can stay more dialed in on the perimeter and not give up open threes to a lot of really good three-point shooters. Andrew Funk is one of the most lethal, if not the most lethal three-point shooter in the Big Ten, and Seth Lundy's right up there. They lead the conference in three-point makes in conference play. So I think it starts with defending Pickett, trying to limit him, and then being able to do what Illinois has done well is limit teams from 3 with the amount of three-point looks they give up. Like Cam Spencer is one of the top three-point shooters in the Big Ten on Rutgers, and he had 2 points, only got 1 3-pointer off, and didn't make it, and Jaden Epps hounded him really well, same as Sincere Harris. So that formula is kind of the key for Illinois against Penn State this time around.
And obviously this is a different team for Illinois that we saw in December that we're seeing now. They're on an 8-for-10 run in the Big Ten in their last 10 games, and earlier they were 0-3. To start the season. We had some people kind of behind the camera. I thought they were talking to us there. Sorry for the distraction there. But anyways.
It's one of those when they're like waving at you
yeah,
and you wave back.
I was like, yeah, we're on
you're
air.
Not talking to me.
Yeah, I thought they were talking to us. I was like, yeah, we're on air right now. But anyways, what has changed? I know we've talked about it a lot. Obviously defense and offense have changed for Illinois, but I guess what has been a big thing you have noticed about just the change for this team?
I think offensively they have more of an identity, and being able to go into Dane, which I think is a big thing tonight. Dane's been playing really well here. Game at Iowa, 19.7 rebounds. Played great against Cliff Amore, who's one of the better bigs out there against Rutgers, and got him in foul trouble, was able to score on him. And really, Cliff's like one of the top defenders in the inside in the Big Ten, and Dane just had his way with him for the most part. So you look at the Penn State matchup, they don't have a lot of size inside. They're going to have to double Dane, I think, for the most part. You look last year, they the one thing I would say is they had a great game plan last year for Kofi Coburn. Kofi only scored 11 points against them. They double teamed him every time. They left some guys open from the perimeter. So that's kind of a key tonight to see if Illinois can make those open shots, if Dane can make quick moves before that double team gets there. But as far as, like Matthew Meyer is a totally different player than he was earlier in the season. That's been a huge difference. And I think they want to get Terrence rolling because we know what he's capable of too. So just kind of piecing that all together. And Jaden Epps, like his progression has been a huge deal to have that consistency at the point guard spot, his confidence, his ability to get the rim. And as I was talking about with the defense, like I think this taking away the switching where they made a lot of mistakes, got themselves in some bad matchups, they've just been able to really dial in and guard their yard in terms of like a guy just matching up and saying, hey, I'm going to lock you down tonight and not give you anything easy. And for the most part, they've been able to get that done.
And I think a big thing with Dane, we mentioned, Brad Underwood has talked about a lot that he's kind of the mentality of a freshman playing-wise for college because he was injured and transferred, all that. So I think we've seen a good chunk from him just with him being so young technically. I guess just, what are your thoughts on him? I think he's really had a pretty good year. He's had some really big games in here. I think tonight could be a game that he can dominate if he's able to move quickly before, like you mentioned, that double team.
Right, yeah, Penn State only has one guy over 6'8" on their team that really plays, so his ability to have kind of that size advantage. And yeah, I knew that he was a talented player coming out of high school. When he committed to Baylor, he was a top 50 prospect. Did get injured their first year at Baylor, was out of shape after that, really was trying to work back and get into tip-top shape. I didn't know what that would look like in his first year. Like the one-year turnaround that Fletcher's been able to do with his body has been fantastic. Obviously, Dane's had to have the commitment to the diet and the workout plan too to get himself there, and then just being able to play in a league where there's always a ton of good big men. So I didn't know what that would look like ultimately. He didn't come into the year as a starter. I just think his confidence has always been something that's been really, really high. He believes in himself and knows that he's so offensively talented. It's just defensively too, when what he's learned to play the drop coverage and use his length, and it's just been really encouraging. Really, I'll say it, like Illinois has kind of been spoiled. When you go from Kofi Coburn, an All-American big man, and then you bring in Dane, who had very little college experience, to play this well. It's put Illinois in a position to have, once again, one of the better bigs in the Big Ten, and that's a huge advantage for them.
And obviously, he did say, he got a lot of reps with Kofi, so he said, getting to play against him every day at practice, I feel like obviously is beneficial. It seems to be playing off and working well for him now. But another person, Matthew Meyer, we mentioned him earlier, he wasn't playing the same as he was in December. He finally said he got his body right. He seems to be healthy and doing well. He had one of his career highs, I think, with 26 points not too long ago. What have you seen from him, just that mentality and that change? And obviously, also, I just think he's kind of on fire from beyond the arc right now.
No, he definitely is. A guy that is, again, like from Baylor, very offensively talented, has been capable of it in the past. He's just been stepping into a starring role, being consistent, like you said, getting his body right, because he was having the back ailment over the offseason into the fall, and same thing with his diet was kind of messing with him a little bit. So now he feels right. He's gotten really comfortable, I think, with Brad. Those two, they're different personalities, but they click really well, I think, because Brad lets Matt be him, and he lets him be able to go into a huddle when he's feeling a heater and say, hey, this is what I want you to run to get me the ball. And I think that Matt on the other side has really upped his intensity, his buy-in, and just both sides really believe in each other. So that ability to have him play like one of the better, I think over the last month or so, he's been one of the best players in the Big Ten. And he's just been really productive, consistent, and it goes even outside of his shot making, because he's someone that rebounds it really well. He's been one of the top shot blockers in the Big Ten as well. And yeah, like you mentioned, 26 or thereabouts at Wisconsin was a huge performance on the road. And sometimes when you go on the road, things can be a little tough. You don't play up to par. You need someone to carry you for big stretches. Like Matt is one of those guys, and I just look forward to March, the NCAA tournament. We see it every year. Guys, the Jimmer Fredette's, the guys, Steph Curry's, the guys that can carry you a couple of rounds in that tournament. Matt could be one of those guys because of his talent from the outside. And
obviously we mentioned just being on the road and needing someone to kind of step up here. Illinois has 2 tough games on the road. It's actually their first time where they've had true conference back-to-back games on the road against 2 teams they've lost to earlier just this year. So Penn State and, like we mentioned earlier, Indiana on Saturday. What do they need to do to get the win? Obviously we kind of talked a little bit about this game, but Indiana's a tough team. What do they kind of need to do in these next 2 road games?
I think it's just building more consistent offensively. I think that they've had stretches we've seen where they've struggled to score, like Wisconsin, and they've had some moments where turnovers have bugged them, or 3-point shooting, which even wasn't great against Rutgers. If they can up that a little bit more, I think tonight to see if Luke Goody can play a little bit more minutes, knock down a couple of shots, build his confidence. I know he's really got to be chomping at the bit to go there to Indiana, his home state. Parents went to Indiana, uncle's Trent Green, so he's someone that down the stretch of this season can really be a big benefit. I think it's kind of trying to get going a little bit from three, but not fall in love with it. And then, yeah, just being able to, when you look at the Trace Jackson-Davis matchup, of course, you're going to have to do something different than what you did against him in Champaign because he went for 30-plus with ease. But, yeah, two really talented offensive teams that you're going to play a little bit different styles. Penn State's going to bomb it from three. Indiana obviously has Trace, and Indiana's going to be a little bit more of a tougher atmosphere. I see the curtains up in the upper deck. They don't even want to show that those are going to be empty seats tonight. But Penn State traditionally has been a tough place for Big Ten teams to go on the road. It can be a little bit of a sleepy environment. And Penn State's obviously a very feisty team. So a big week for Illinois. You come away with one win. You're probably feeling pretty decent. You come away with two. You feel great.
And obviously, with just these games coming up here, Illinois also, if they win tonight, will be tied for second, and a three-way tie for second place. So what does that mean, obviously, going into this last stretch of the season here, to be in those top spots? I'm sure everyone knows, but what does that mean for those who don't, just to be in those top couple seeds here?
Trying to get a double bye in the Big Ten tournament, and as you look at it, when the tournament committee kind of evaluates different teams' resumes, I think the Big 12 is thought, I know the Big 12 is thought to be the best conference out there in college basketball this year, but Big Ten probably second, maybe in a conversation there with the SEC, the Big East. I think the Big Ten has more depth, but if you're one of the top four teams in one of the best conferences, you're going to get a really good seed. So that's important, trying to get into the Saturday, Sunday of the Big Ten tournament, give yourself a real chance to win that thing, because you can move your seed line one or two there in that final weekend. So I think that's really important. And what's kind of interesting is Illinois playing tonight, they win, like you mentioned, getting that three-way tie, and then Indiana and Northwestern actually play each other tomorrow night. So then we'll be interesting to see kind of how that shakes out. But I'm just hoping, selfishly, as big a game as possible there in Bloomington this weekend, have Illinois win. Don't mind if Indiana wins. I think the Illini fans will disagree with me on that. But just let's tip that thing up in Bloomington, have it just rocking in one of the biggest games of the year.
Yeah, that's going to be a big game. Like we always say, Illinois has a rivalry. We don't know if Indiana wants to have that with them, but it's always a big game. People are always there, and vice versa. Indiana coming to Illinois, and vice versa. But
to tie it into today, it's like a girl that sends you maybe the crush.
The crush Valentine, and you don't want to send it back.
And you really do have some chemistry with her, but you're just like, no, I gotta look cool in front of my boys.
Nah, I don't want to.
I don't know.
No, I don't. I'm not going to send one back. Yeah, I feel like that's how Indiana is.
It is.
All right, I love the reference. Obviously, it is Valentine's Day, but what do you see tonight? What is your outcome, final score with this game?
I do think it's tough, and when you look at Penn State, they've won 4 out of the last 5 in Big Ten play here in this building, and the big key is they make a ton of threes. They made on average 13 threes per game in those 4 wins. They beat Iowa here, they beat Indiana here, and Illinois hopefully not looking too far ahead, hopefully not looking towards Indiana. I don't necessarily think they will because of the revenge factor like we talked about earlier. I think with a better matchup on Jalen Pickett, with the ability to contain teams, which is what we've seen recently from 3, and Dane's size advantage inside and the way he's been playing gives Illinois the edge to win this. I have Illinois 74, Penn State 69. I think it's a fairly close game, but one that Illinois pulls out, and they get to take the roadkill back to Champaign after tonight.
The roadkill. I know they want that revenge. I'm thinking I have it close, but not. I have a little bit more of a gap here. I'm thinking Illinois 71 and Penn State 62.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a little bit more of a gap here. I don't know. I can see them. I feel like if Illinois gets those adjustments that they're going to make here, and I think that if they completely shut down Pickett, like they potentially can. We have Jaden Epps potentially, Terrence Shannon, whoever they want to put on him. Like we mentioned, we're not sure they're going to necessarily put on him, but we've really seen an uptick of Illinois in this last month. So I think it'll be a different game here. I think it's going to be a change of pace. And like you mentioned, there's curtains closed, so I don't know how many fans are going to be here today.
Not going to be intimidated by that, but yeah, it takes some frustration out there, and you get real satisfaction if you knew that maybe you killed Penn State's NCAA tournament hopes if you beat them here and give them a 5-game losing streak, and maybe it's probably too much to overcome this late in the season.
All right, Derek. Well, thanks so much. Be sure to tune in later tonight at 10. We'll have highlights if you missed the game, as well as our post-game press conference with Illinois head coach Brad Underwood, also streamed on all our social media channels as well after the game. So be sure to tune in to that. Again, Illini Inquirer's Derek Piper. I'm Brice Bement. Thanks for listening.